Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the final round I played at a tournament this past weekend. It was the Disco Inferno tournament, called the Inferno because of how hot it is still outside over here in the south. And we played 2 rounds at a course called the Colony out in Fairhope, Alabama. And I didn't film the first round due to rain and wet conditions, and we were still dealing with some wet conditions this final round as well, but I was able to get out the camera and film this one, and it was kind of a mixed bag round. Had some highs, had some lows, but that's what I'm all about on this channel, is showing the good and the bad, and just putting content out from tournament play when I can. And so hopefully you'll enjoy this video, as I was, playing the normal white tees at this course for the entire round. Lots of elevation change, lots of cool scenery, and just a fun course to play in general. So I hope that you all will enjoy the content. But without further ado, let's get into the round. Now, quickly before I show you the round 2 content, I did just want to talk to my first round really quickly. I started on hole 9 on the course and started the tournament with a double bogey, which was really disappointing. I actually didn't throw a bad shot off the tee. I had, a long putt at it for birdie, 60, 70 feet. Don't get me wrong. It was a long one. I came up short, but still, I wound up chaining out and having a pretty long roll away. So I had a really long comeback par putt, and then my comeback par putt also hit metal and rolled away again, giving me a pretty long bogey putt. And so I missed that and wound up taking a double bogey on that hole. So really unfortunate stuff there. And from there, just, kind of back and forth, right? Had a par, bogey, par, birdie, par, bogey. I mean, it was just kind of an up and down roller coaster ride here through the first stretch of holes that I played. And I finished strong, though. On the last 5 holes I played, I went, turkey, 3 birdies in a row, and then finished out the couple of pars. So I was able to kind of battle back, but I was still in a pretty tough position. As you can see, the rating was not great for this round, and I was pretty down the leaderboard. I was definitely not in any position to quote-unquote cash, or, for AMs, obviously that means getting, plastic prizes or whatever the case may be, disc, all that jazz. I was definitely not really in position to do that. And so the second round, I was just looking to try to improve upon things. It was nice to get some birdies on the board and show that I'm capable of scoring, but just made too many errors and, some other situations that really kind of cost me. But now we'll get into round 2, and I'll be able to talk to these holes a little bit better. All right, so for this final round, I started on hole 10 on the course, about a 270-foot dogleg right par 3. First round, I slipped and wound up parring this hole, and then you see here, I slipped again, but got off a better forehand. I threw something a little faster to kind of account for it. And so had an edge of circle putt for birdie and sunk it. So starting off with the birdie, always nice after parring it the first round. Then we're on a hole 11. Big dog leg left, a little over 300 feet. Last round I pushed it too straight and not left enough. Got stuck in some bushes, and so I took a bogey. This time, made a very good correction. Definitely got it on a much more severe angle and was able to, put it within 20 feet or so of the basket here. So starting off the round 2 down through 2, improving on both holes substantially. So we get into hole 12, just like a tunnel shot, 250-foot hole. And I just let go of this one early. I was trying to kind of do a slight left to right turning backhand there and just got it caught up on the left-hand side of the fairway. Should be an easy up and down for par from here, though, still, just with the hole being so short. But catch a tree. So now I have a circle 2 putt to save par. So about 40 or so feet away here. Just uncommitted. And so now I only have about 15 feet back to get bogey here. And that's a double. So I just gave the 2 birdies right back to the course as we head to hole 13. A very tricky, very short, but just very tricky hole. And the disc just slipped right out of my hands. We were having wet conditions this day, and I just really needed to make sure my hands were more dry, and unfortunate. Then I absolutely shank the attempt at recovering. So this is now me trying to save bogey. Threw a decent forehand there. And so I have a pretty short putt to save bogey here. And just yank it right. And so that's back-to-back double bogeys. So I went from 2 under to 2 over real quick, which was very demoralizing, honestly. And it was kind of still in my head during this hole that I had just went 2 for 2 to start the round, only to get 2 double bogeys on 2 really short holes that you should just never double bogey. There's just no way it should happen. So kind of embarrassing, and it was kind of in my head that hole. Wound up getting a par there. Hole 15. The first round I actually hit the tree on the left and kicked into the woods and had to do a crazy scramble and just got a bogey. This time I hit the gap perfectly. Leave myself kind of a, longer putt for birdie. Maybe 40, 50 feet, somewhere in that range. Unable to get it, but able to get the par, as we'll see here. So after back-to-back double bogeys, getting a couple of pars to kind of get back on track. Here's a very short hole, but a pretty tight hole as well. Lots of trouble you can get into. But I threw a nice shot. Very dangerous elevated basket here. Right on the edge of the circle, but I know I got to do some scoring, so I decided to run this putt. And right in the heart of the chain. So that's a nice birdie. But still 3 over, I think, for the round. Then this, just wanted to stay away from that OB on the left. So threw a really safe forehand. Why not par on that hole? Didn't catch the putt on film because we were helping a guy find a disc. So in all that commotion, we didn't get the rest of that hole recorded, but oh well, just a par. Hole 18, about 340 feet, but uphill. So plays a little longer than 340. And I gave myself like maybe a 35 to 40 foot putt for birdie here on 18. Not bad. And I just kind of yanked it to the right, which is something I often do on longer putts, trying to put a little bit more power on it. As we get over the hole 1, kind of a blind shot, but I just did not put this disc outside enough, and so I get stuck right in all those trees. We don't catch the upshot, but just played this hole for par after that tee shot and was able to get it. So now we're on hole 2, like 530-foot par 4. Absolutely shanked this tee shot. I mean, but got the most ridiculously lucky kick ever. So at this point, birdie's pretty much off the board, but I'm just trying to save par. But just the left side of this fairway is just absolute trouble. You got to stay on the right-hand side as much as you can, I feel like, on this hole. And here I was trying to throw like a little forehand just to get in somewhat of a decent position, but didn't get over on it enough. So I have a very long par save putt here. And just a touch low. So take a bogey on that one. So having some struggles here. Hole 3, 270, but uphill. Severe dogleg right. The first round I was way short, so I put a lot more power on this, but I just shanked it way left. And so able to get pin high, but just way left. And yeah, I was trying to put the putt between the trees, caught the right tree, but still well within the circle to save par here. And so the putting's starting to do pretty nice for me after having some struggles on those 2 holes I double bogeyed. The putt's been pretty good since then. So that's been nice. As we get to hole 4, 340 feet, but definitely slightly downhill. So plays a little shorter than that. Through this there, just a little off to the left-hand side of the fairway. Didn't quite get over on it enough, so leave myself a very long circle 2 putt for birdie. But able to put it in, so really nicely done there. Hole 5, it's like 370, 360, something like that, but pretty downhill. I actually parked the short pin position. Edge of circle putt here for birdie. I actually got a little bit closer the first round and actually birdied that hole, but wasn't able to get that round. So now we have hole 6, 340 feet, but uphill, off to the right. Got a little bit of rain on this one, but was able to throw a beautiful turnover. And I had never birdied this hole before, ever. And I birdied it the first round with kind of a long putt. And then I put it this close to the basket the second round. So, spoiler, able to birdie this hole twice in this tournament. And this is one of the harder ones to get, in my opinion. So we moved the hole 7, like 370, but again, very downhill. That's one of the fun things about this course, is just lots of elevation change. But I just had that one slip out early again. Still a good chance to get up and down to save par, though. But I just didn't drag that one outside enough. I threw a little too inside, so pushed well left of the basket. But still a reasonable putt to save par here. I've made a lot of putts at this range, but that time I just completely botched it. So we get to a par 4 here. I think it's like 570 to the basket. We had a pretty solid headwind on this hole, so wasn't really able to push it as far as I wanted to. So I think at this point I had like 270 to the basket still. But still dealing with that headwind. And I really thought the headwind would flip this disc up, but it really didn't. It just kind of stalled it, and so it wound up just fading off to the left. So birdie out of the question, and even kind of a tricky stance to try to get around this tree and get up and down to save par. Was able to get down to a Nino and get a forehand up there next to the basket. Was able to tap that in for par as we get to the final hole of the round, hole 9. 270 uphill. And with the rain and the tailwind, I just stabled out on me a little too much. So I have a long putt at birdie here. And not quite. So yeah, to sum up the round, I started on hole 10, started with back-to-back birdies. These were improvements on the previous round where I parred hole 10 and I bogeyed hole 11. So instead of going 1 over through 2 holes, I wound up going 2 under through 2 holes. So really nice to turn those holes around. Unfortunately, I had bogeyed this hole the first round, and then I double bogey at this round. So this one was just a tough one. Bad tee shot, bad up shot, and then missed a easy short bogey save putt. And then hole 13, just slipped out of my hand off the tee. That's a little bit unfortunate. The first round, I actually threw a good tee shot and was actually able to birdie the hole. This round, though, I get stuck in an awkward place, mess up my up shots, and then miss a short putt for bogey I should have had. So giving these strokes back right away, definitely a little bit tough mentally, and that really kind of impacted me the next couple of holes. But was able to get a nice birdie putt on 16 on the elevated basket, get a couple of pars. Hole 2's so tough, taking a 5 on it at my level of play. I'm kind of okay with that, honestly. It's just a really tricky approach to the basket. Even if you have a clean tee shot, it can be kind of tricky. I think par is very achievable, but birding that hole is out of the question. And so, taking a bogey, I'm not too upset with that. Able to get a nice birdie with the long putt here. Nearly got this one as well. Again, really cool to be able to get hole 6 both rounds. After kind of a tough bogey on 7, I finish off with a couple of pars. And so wound up finishing this round 1 over par. This very easily could have been, like a 4 under round. These 2 holes really killed me. That's 4 strokes right there. I par these holes. All of a sudden, I'm 3 under par for the round and shoot, well over 900. I was nearly at 900 rated with the 1 over round. So all in all, not a great showing, but I did go from like 6th or 7th place to 4th, which was like Lash Cash. I think we had like 8 players or something, or 9 players in our division or something like that. So at least I was able to kind of fight back a little bit after shooting, I think 3 under or so the first round to come back and shoot this was at least some improvement. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Wasn't the best tournament play from me, but all in all, I was definitely doing a lot of good things. I was happy with a lot of my shots, and while I had a couple of issues on the putting green, I also had pretty good putting overall, I would say, outside of like 2 holes during this second round that we filmed. So all in all, a lot of things going right. Just had two really big blow up holes that really set me back from what could have been, a nice, well over 900 rated round, which is kind of the goal for me right now, just to kind of break that 900 barrier. And still, though, I fought back. My mental game the second round was a massive improvement. I think the big takeaway for me was that my mental game was a lot better. While those two double bogeys did annoy me a bit, and it cost me, a little bit on kind of the next hole I played, I was able to pretty quickly reset and then wind up even grabbing a few birdies on the way to finishing the round. And, mental game has always been kind of the struggle for me lately. I mean, obviously, there's always the inconsistencies of my play, being an amateur player and being, on the lower end of the amateur scale. And so there's always going to be inconsistencies in, my accuracy and my putting and things of that nature, which is just going to come with the reps and time and practice and, finding that confidence and consistency. But the mental game was a lot better this second round than it has been lately. And after having a couple tournaments where I finished third, this finish at fourth, I'm starting to kind of get myself back to where I was kind of at when I was at my best last year and when I won my first MA2 tournament. And so, yeah, I'm just going to kind of keep building on that, keep the content coming. And hopefully you folks, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, leaving a comment. All those things would be very helpful as I continue to try to grow this channel. So definitely be on the lookout for more practice rounds, casual rounds, disc reviews, and some more tournament stuff coming up soon as well. But until then, signing off until the next time. Catch you later.